y'all. Over the weekend, my friends and I, well, my sister, my friend, and I, took a trip to Bisbee, Arizona. My original plan going to Bisbee was that I was going to film the haunted locations, come back, show you guys the footage, and tell you the stories. We got to Bisbee, I started filming, and it was supposed to be a trip as my birthday present, and I didn't feel like having my camera pulled out at all times. I really wanted to enjoy the experience. I had never been to Bisbee before. I had as like a child, but I had never gone on like the ghost tours or any of that. It was my first time experiencing it as an adult where I could like remember the experience. So I didn't film anything, but I did want to share with you guys some of my favorite ghost stories that I learned on this trip. We stayed at the Copper Queen Hotel. We did not stay in one of the haunted rooms, those were booked up, but we did have some weird experiences. So Brittany and I stayed in one room. We stayed in room 310. My sister stayed in 313, so she was right down the hall from one of the most haunted rooms in this hotel. So I'm going to start with my experience, and then we're going to go into the ghost stories of all of these different inns and hotels in Bisbee. So we got to Bisbee around 1, we did a mine tour at 2. The mine tour I was expecting to be like a haunted mine tour, but it's not a haunted mine, so it wasn't. It was more so just like history regarding the mines. So we did that, that was super cool. We got to actually go into the mine. I was wearing like a whole suit. I was like suited up. I had my hard hat on, I had my vest on, it was cool. I accidentally stole the dog tag. It was an accident. They gave you dog tags when you go in, so it has like a number on it and you pin it to your clothes. I forgot to return mine, so I still have it. But then after that, we just walked around, we did some shopping, we got some food, and then we did the ghost tour, the old Bisbee ghost tour, and it was so cool. And the reason I'm saying that when I said I was going to get into my experiences is because this happened. The ghost tour started around 7 p.m. It lasted about an hour and a half, hour 45. The last stop on the tour was our hotel. Williams is on crack. So we get back to our hotel, I want to say around 8:30, and he goes into some of the stories. We're in the lobby of the hotel. I sit down on one of the couches, and I instantly felt so sick. I felt perfectly fine the entire tour. I felt perfectly fine the entire day. As soon as we stepped foot into this lobby, and we had been into the hotel prior to put our stuff away. Weems, what are you doing? Ignore the vase on the ground and the ripped up box. We're not going to talk about it. I forgot those were in the background. But anyway, so I sit down on this couch and my head starts pounding. It was out of absolutely nowhere. Typically for me, when I'm getting a headache, I can feel it kind of coming on. It just like hit. After the tour is over, we try to find a place that's open for food. Everything closes pretty early and opens really late because it's a small town. So we couldn't find anything. I was gonna eat some leftover pizza we had in the room. I go with my sister to smoke a cigarette. I didn't smoke one, she did. And I'm sitting outside on the balcony with her and I can't even see straight. I have the pizza in my lap. I'm trying to eat the pizza, but I'm so incredibly nauseous because my head hurts so bad that I took one bite and I was like, I'm gonna puke. It was the worst headache I've had in the longest time. So after she's done, I go into my room, I take my makeup off the best I can because I can't even see straight at this point. I lay in bed, I close my eyes, and it takes me maybe an hour to fall asleep because all I'm thinking about is how bad my head hurts. Around 2 a.m., I wake up, and when I was going to bed that night, I feel like this is important to note, when I was going to bed that night, I was not scared. I did not feel weird. I was not scared in the slightest bit. I wasn't even really thinking about the stories that he told. My mind wasn't like, this is a haunted hotel, you're gonna see something. And so I woke up around 2 a.m. to go to the bathroom, and my head still hurt a little bit, but it wasn't as bad. And when I went to the bathroom, I was terrified. I don't know what it was. I had the weirdest feeling. I was like, I think I'm gonna see something right now. Like I felt like I was being watched. I felt like there was something in the room with us. And I know I'm a very paranoid person, but I don't get that way very often where I'm like almost certain that there's something there other than when T was in the picture. I'm very rational, I like to think. I do believe everything, but I'm also like the first person to try to find a logical explanation because otherwise I will be so scared. I go into the bathroom, I turn the light on, I'm scared to look in the mirror. I look in the mirror, there's nothing there. I go to the bathroom, I come back, I lay in bed for probably an hour, constantly like shutting my eyes and opening them and looking around the room because I was convinced that something was going to be there. Eventually I fell back asleep, nothing happened, I didn't see anything, nothing weird happened, I didn't feel like any like the sheets didn't get pulled off the bed, nothing fell, like it wasn't anything like that. I just had a feeling. I wake up in the morning and Brittany is awake staring at me and she goes, the weirdest thing happened last night. So she says when I got up to go to the bathroom, she woke up. And she was in this weird, like, you know that weird, like, limbo state when you're sleeping where it's like you're awake but you're not really awake, but you know you're awake, but you are like kind of asleep? Do you know what I'm talking about? She said she was in that weird state, and after, I don't know how long it had been. I don't think it was when I was still awake because this didn't happen to me. She says at one point, she starts to smell perfume. And it was like out of nowhere, it just kind of came on and it was so strong. So she starts telling herself like, you're asleep, this isn't happening. But then the more she tells herself that, the more she's like, no, I am fully awake right now. What the fuck? And so I didn't smell it. I had no idea that this was going on. She was freaked out. I was freaked out, like on my own terms. And so we woke up, we told each other our experiences, and then we just kind of went on with the day. We weren't really sure what to do. And we were only staying there one night, so even though we were pretty freaked out, it's not like we had to stay there again. And we were on a fairly haunted floor. So just saying, just throwing that out there. My sister had a different room than us, and when we told her about it in the morning, she did not believe us. She is not a believer in the paranormal at all. And so she was like very skeptical. She was like, it could have been this, it could have been this, it could have been this. Nothing really made sense to us because it was really, really random, and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I think when Brittany smelled the perfume, it was 2 o'clock for me. And I want to emphasize, I had like an overwhelming feeling of like someone being there with us. And it was like not a normal feeling. It wasn't just a feeling of being scared. It was like something was in the room. Like I know for a fact. Like I've had that feeling before. You guys know my experiences with tea. I've felt that before, like where I know something's there. I know something was there. And I'm the biggest believer in the paranormal, so maybe I'm being crazy, I don't know. So that was our experience staying at the hotel. It was pretty crazy, I think. It was a really cool hotel. I would recommend staying there. I think it's hard to get a room there because it's, I think, one of the more popular hotels. But if you're able to get a room and you want to go to Bisbee, highly recommend it. I'm going to go into the stories of this hotel. There's 3. The rest of the stories I have to tell you from memory because I can't find them. But I think I have a pretty good idea of what happened. I think I remember the stories fairly well. Obviously, I'm going to be missing some details, but I found the stories of our hotel, so I'm going to tell these from the website. So this is in room 401. If you smell the faint aroma of smoke from a cigar, you might be about to meet the resident ghost of room 401, the most haunted room in our hotel. Taking on the form of an older gentleman with a top hat and cape, he can often be found lurking around doorways and appearing in the shadows of rooms on the 4th floor. We were on the 3rd floor, thank God, because if I was like on the 4th floor and I saw a shadow, I would have lost my shit. But this next one is about room 315. Remember, we were in 310. My sister was in 313. She was 2 doors down. This one I think I could tell better from memory than what is on here because it's very short. So I'm going to tell it from memory. There was a woman named Julia whose father owned the hotel. She was a prostitute and her father didn't want her to be. He couldn't get her to quit the profession, so he ended up putting her in room 315. That's where she would take her clients, and there was a back door super close to room 315 so her clients could come in and out without being seen. She fell in love with one of her clients who was a repeat client, and I can't remember what his profession was. I think something is telling me he was like a police officer, or he was like a very important official person, like higher up in Bisbee at the time, and she confessed her love for him, and he was like, I am not leaving my wife for a prostitute, I would never do that. And so she ended up, trigger warning, killing herself, right outside of room 315 in the hallway. Our tour guide was telling us the different encounters people have had with her. So typically, most of the time when she's seen, it's when there is a man and wife staying in that room. She will be seen leaning over the bed, whispering in his ear. He also said there are some sightings of her doing a dance, like a seductive dance on the man's side of the bed to try to seduce him. She's often seen in lingerie. She's seen around the hotel, but most of the time around room 315. And then in room 412, there's Billy. Haunted by the ghost of a small boy who drowned in the San Pedro River, room 412 is where you will find Billy, a mischievous spirit who can be heard running through the hallways, giggling and turning door handles. Try leaving some candy to encourage him not to hide or move your belongings around the room. The tour guide was saying that if you leave candy out, like wrapped candy, individual candies, you will find it, just the wrapper, in the morning. The tour guide was telling us that Billy's mom worked at the hotel, so she would often bring him there while she was working. It was his happy place. He liked to play around in the lobby. He was seen jumping on couches all the time, a very happy kid. And so after he died, they say he came back to the hotel because that's where he had fun and that's where his mom worked and that was where he was most of his life. The next set of stories I'm going to tell you is from a bed and breakfast in Bisbee. I'm not sure if it's still open right now. He said the owners were selling it. I'm not sure if it's still open while they're trying to sell it or if they closed it down. He was saying that he's hoping the next owners keep it a bed and breakfast. These are some of the craziest stories I think we heard. The first story was a man who was very liked in the community. He was coming home. This is when the bed and breakfast was more of like an apartment building. It was just housing for like the miners and like, you know, things like that. So he was coming home late one evening and his roommate recalls hearing someone go, "You son of a bitch," and then a gunshot. So he comes out of the room, finds, I don't remember his name, I'm so sorry, I don't remember his name, but finds his roommate on the floor in a pool of blood. They never found out who did it, but he is said to haunt the place. There were really cool pictures on the tour, and some of them are on their website, but I can't find this specific one. The website also says not to use their photos without permission, so I'm not going to. I'll just describe it to you. There was a photo one woman took when she was staying at the bed and breakfast, so this is when it was remodeled into a bed and breakfast. She was taking pictures of the hotel room. She takes a picture in the mirror in the bathroom, and in the reflection you can see the window, which is on the second story. You can see a man peering into the window from the second story. So that's said to be him. I believe she was staying in his old room. This next story is absolutely insane. So there was a man having an affair with the deputy's wife. I believe it was the deputy. I know it was a police officer and it was like higher up, could have been the sheriff. I don't know the difference. Again, these are coming from memory and I don't have a very good one. So when the deputy found out about the affair, he flew into a jealous rage, went in, killed his wife, killed the man she was having an affair with, and then killed every single person he came in contact with in that building. He was said to have killed around 9 to 13 people. They're not exactly sure. This happened in the 30s. And so, safe to say that place is very fucking haunted. And then there is the Bisbee Inn. There's a couple stories from this place. I'm gonna start with my favorite. There was a cat who liked to try to get into the hotel. It was a feral cat. And they would always shoo the cat away, like you're not allowed to come into the hotel. The cat ended up getting into, I believe it was like a saloon, it was a bar or something like along those lines. Got trapped in a closet. They didn't come back for a couple of days, and so the cat passed away in that closet and is now said to haunt the Bisbee Inn. So people will often wake up in the middle of the night to something jumping on their bed, kneading and purring. And I thought that was crazy, like I need to stay in that room. And the tour guide was telling us that this woman who does not believe in the paranormal at all, this happened to her. She woke up in the middle of the night to something kneading by her head and purring, turned on the light, starts searching for this cat everywhere, can't find it. So she's like, there has to be a cat in here, like I'm 100% sure. And then turns the lights off, tries to go back to bed, hears clawing at the window, like the cat is trying to escape. The cat is seen going throughout the hallways, and the owners of the inn are like, this damn cat finally got in. There's also a really cool story of the woman in white, which is very cliche, but I feel like every haunted hotel has to have a woman in white. There were these boys running behind the Bisbee Inn, going up and down these pathways that are very unsafe because they haven't been repaved in like, I don't know, 100 years. So one of the boys is running, and all of a sudden the woman in white emerges from the door, passes through the door, and goes, "Stop." And he goes, "What the fuck?" Because it's just, a woman just phases through the door and tells you to stop, you're gonna stop. And it was during monsoon season, so all of these rocks and this mud got loose, and it starts flooding in the pathway from where he was about to start running. So she saved his life. So the boys obviously run away because it was a ghost, but I thought that was the coolest story, like she literally saved them. And she's seen throughout the hotel as well. I have one more story from the Bisbee Inn. There is one room where the ghost, they're not sure of their gender, likes to crawl into bed with the guests. And it's been reported that when the guests turn the lights on, there's like an indent in the bed, like they're laying in the bed. And you can feel them crawling up and getting under the covers, like they're crawling into bed with you. That's disgusting. A couple more stories. These ones are not from the hotels or the inns or anything like that. These are from just the shops on Main Street. These are the ones that I remember. There is a bar, saloon, whatever you want to call it, and one night they were closing up. I believe it was a man closing up. He goes out to his car, remembers he forgot something inside, goes inside, hears, "We're closed," leaves immediately, and comes back for his final paycheck the next day. There was a woman who was working at the saloon. She was cleaning the bathrooms, and this is where one of the ghosts is known to reside, is in the woman's bathroom. It's a man. Weirdo. He's known to shake the stalls, turn off the lights, and in order to turn off the lights, you have to go through 2 locked doors to get into this like area where there's a panel, like electricity panel. I can't think of the word for that. She was cleaning the woman's bathroom, the lights turn off, she goes to turn them back on, and then she just leaves, but she came back for work the next day. There's also a place called Late Night Munchies, which was known to be a bunch of different things, but right now it's Late Night Munchies. They have like cheese, I think. It's like a cheese shop. Before it became a shop, it was a crematory, I believe. And then it became like, it was a crematory, and then their house, like apartment, was on top of the crematory, the people who own the crematory. They actually had a fire in their apartment and they lost their youngest daughter in the fire. So now she is known to haunt this building. They had multiple owners. They were all terrified of this little girl. She wasn't trying to cause harm. She's a friendly little girl, but it's obviously just like, if you're not into ghosts, you're not into ghosts, you know what I mean? So finally someone buys the shop and turns it into, I think, an art studio. She was told about the little girl ghost and she decided she was going to try and have fun with her. So she bought a little rubber ball and she would put it in different corners, different places, different shelves of the shop. And she would wake up in the morning and the ball would be moved. So this little girl was playing with the ball. They ended up selling the shop so they could move across the street to something bigger, and then it became Late Night Munchies. I might have the timeline fucked up, but whew, kill me, sue me. So now it's Late Night Munchies, and the owners actually would encourage people on tours to take photos so they could try to get pictures of the little girl. And there was a photo taken one time of the little girl peering through the window. They also placed the ball around the shop so the little girl can play with it. She stopped moving it at one point and they were like, maybe she's just bored of it. They're not really sure, so they started putting other toys around the shop, I believe. But people are no longer allowed to take photos through windows because the tour guide was saying they had a group one time and they were taking photos of everything, taking photos through every window they came across to try to capture, I think, anything they could. And they accidentally took a photo in someone's bathroom because there's houses and inns and hotels everywhere and you don't really know what window is gonna be what. So they took a picture in someone's bathroom, so now you're not allowed to take pictures in the windows. The website has some crazy ghost pictures, so I'm gonna link the website below if you wanna check them out. It's for the old Bisbee ghost tour. They've got some really cool stuff. Oh, there's also, I almost forgot about this. So the park was actually a cemetery back in the day. There's a really cool picture on the website of a ghost in the cemetery that's now the park. There was a story he told us about this little girl and her father who were playing on the playground, and she slides down the slide and runs over to the opposite side of the park and starts talking to these imaginary friends. So the dad walks over and she goes, "Dad, you scared them away. They walked through the walls." And he goes, "Okay, it's kind of weird, but they're imaginary." They go back, they start playing again. She slides down the slide, she runs back over and she starts talking to them. And at that point he was like, "We're going home." Those are all the stories I can remember right now. It was a really cool tour and the guide was so funny. It wasn't like a spooky tour. It was more so not like a comedy show. It definitely was creepy and spooky, and he was telling you ghost stories, but he was also really funny. It was very entertaining. I think they do ghost hunts. Sometimes, it's not every week. I think it's very specific weekends they do that, and I really want to go and do an actual ghost hunt. I would love to film that. And I'm sorry again that I didn't film anything. I just really wanted to enjoy my experience, and next time I go to Bisbee I will definitely film it and probably tell you maybe some different stories or more stories or whatever, retell these stories with footage. I don't really know what I'm gonna do, but I do definitely want to go again. We left on Sunday morning and we ended up stopping in Tombstone, which is where I got this bad boy. We stopped in Tombstone, we watched the gunfight show, which was so funny. I loved it. It's so cheesy, but it's so good. We stayed in Tombstone for about an hour, then we made the trek back home. The trek home was miserable. It's a really boring drive, I'm not gonna lie. It's about 3.5 hours from where I live. It's past Tucson, if you've never been there. It's past Tucson, going east. But that is all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If I think of any other stories, I'll tell it in another video, but I think I pretty much got every story down. I think I memorized the entire tour, which is funny because I'm so bad at memorizing things. I can't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, but when it's something about I don't know, ghosts or paranormal or something I'm really interested in, it's so easy for me to remember it. I just want to tell you guys everything that I've learned. I think that's cool. It's something I'm passionate about, so I guess it makes sense. I am gonna go though, because I have nothing else to say. There's not gonna be any rambling at the end of this video because I just rambled about my entire weekend and I have nothing else to tell you. Actually, wait, I totally do have something to tell you. I am gonna ramble at the end of this. I'm sorry. You're gonna have a story time. I'm completely unrelated to ghosts though. Sorry. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more videos like this, I love doing these. I really want to visit more haunted places this year and next year. My goal right now for this year is to visit all these places that I have on my bucket list, which are all haunted. And I love retelling the stories. I think it's so much fun. But I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, I don't think I've told you guys this. For some reason, I didn't tell you last week, but it might have happened after I filmed both my videos for last week. I can't quite remember, but there was one night I woke up to a weird like coughing sound, and I thought it was Weems because Weems has asthma, so it's pretty normal for him. So at first I kind of ignored it because he'll do that sometimes. He'll like wheeze or he'll cough, and it's not a big deal. I do his inhaler twice a day, so but it was going on for a really long time. And so I thought like I need to get up and I'll give him his inhaler. Maybe he's having an asthma attack, maybe he doesn't feel very good. So I was gonna wake up and give him his inhaler. So I get up and I turn the light on. I try to find him. He's just sitting under the bed and he's like not making a sound. So I was like, okay, I think he's done. And then I hear it from behind me. I turn around and it's Nar. And so I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, wait, Nar, are you okay? Because it was going on for like a decent amount of time. And it was like this weird, like, he would like gulp really hard and like cough and like kind of, it was weird. And so I was really concerned and he kept doing it. So I called an emergency vet. This was at like 2 in the morning, maybe 3 a.m. No, this happened at 2:30 because I was up till 4:30. Happened at 2:30. So I call an emergency vet and I explained to her what he's doing, and she was like, does he have any discoloration? Is he turning blue? Is he having trouble breathing? I was like, I don't think so. He's acting normal. He like came out here and was eating. So I was like, he's acting completely fine. He's just making this weird noise. So she was like, okay, well, we have a really long wait because it was like a Saturday. Oh yeah, it was Saturday. So, but it was like 2 weeks ago. I don't know why I didn't tell you this. So she's like, we have a really long wait, so if he's not having trouble breathing, I recommend waiting until the morning. I was like, okay. She's like, just keep your eye on him for the next X amount of time, see if he keeps doing it. If you're really concerned, call me back, bring him in, but when you get here, call me because we lock the doors, whatever. She was so helpful. She was so nice. And so I downloaded Fuzzy because I've had a sponsorship with Fuzzy before, and I decided to try and use it because I was like, I'm kind of concerned, and I took a video of what Nar was doing. Fuzzy didn't end up working out. I lost connection with the vet after I was actually kind of frustrated. I waited over an hour, which was normal. Like, I mean, you're waiting at 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you know how many people have pet emergencies in the middle of the night? So I waited an hour to get connected with the vet, and then I lost connection, so my chat ended. So I was like really upset, but Nar had stopped doing it at this point, and he had stopped doing it about like 30 minutes into me waiting for Fuzzy, but I figured like I've already waited 30 minutes, I have the video, so I might as well show her or him and see what they think, whatever. I lost connection. They ended the chat. I could have connected with a new vet, but I just opted not to because he stopped doing it. I think he had something stuck in his throat. That's what it sounded like, and he kept going back to eat and drink. So I think he had something like maybe a piece of food caught in his throat. Maybe it was like something he ate off the fucking floor. I have no idea. But he was like, like that, but like coughing. It was a weird cough, and it was like kind of like a wheeze. And so I think he had something stuck in his throat. I think he got it down or got it out, no idea. And yeah, so he stopped doing it. He hasn't done it since. He's been perfectly fine, but I was bawling my eyes out that night. I was so scared. I'm just very paranoid, very anxious when it comes to my animals. Like whenever they do the weird, like anything slightly weird, I'm like, they're dying. So I was really concerned, but I didn't bring him to the emergency vet, which I was 5 seconds away from doing. I didn't panic. I did panic, but I didn't fully panic. But he's okay. He's fine now. He hasn't done it since. That was over a week ago, so I think he's good. By the time you're seeing this, that was like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, because I'm filming this Monday. This is going up Friday. But yeah, okay, that was my little story time about Nar being a dum-dum and scaring the shit out of me. Not being a dum-dum. It wasn't his fault. He had something in his throat, but it did scare me. But okay, now I'm gonna go. I love you guys so much. See ya.